6 luxury cars that sold new for 80,000 to 140,000 Canadian dollars are sitting on lots right now, some for over 180 days, and dealers are slashing prices below $15,000 just to move them. Not because they're bad cars, because the original buyers absorbed a depreciation hit that most Canadians have no idea exists. What I call the first owner sacrifice is your opportunity, but car number 1 is the one nobody talks about, and it's the best deal on this entire list. Name the concept, anchor in Canadian data, tell viewers what position they're in. Here's what the data actually shows. According to Canadian Black Book's March 2026 market report, luxury used vehicle wholesale values have declined 10% year over year in Canada, and that number gets significantly worse for low-volume European and Italian nameplates. The Globe and Mail's automotive analyst confirmed in January 2026 that luxury vehicle searches on autotrader.ca dropped 11% year over year in 2025, compared to just a 2% decline for mainstream brands over the same period. Canadians are moving away from luxury, and that exodus is creating the deepest price corrections this segment has ever seen. 3 forces are converging simultaneously right now that have never overlapped before. First, new car inventory returned to healthy levels in Canada. AutoTrader's Q3 2025 price index confirmed 64 days of new vehicle supply, which triggered a cascade of trade-ins flooding the used market. Second, luxury sedans were already structurally disadvantaged. IC Cars data shows the average luxury car loses 48.8% of its value in 5 years, versus 38.8% for all vehicles. Third, several of these brands were quietly discontinued, rebadged, or deprioritized, which destroyed their certified pre-owned programs and set a new price floor almost overnight. What I call the first owner sacrifice works like this. Someone paid 90,000 to 140,000 Canadian dollars for one of these vehicles between 2016 and 2020. They drove it, they serviced it, and then when they went to sell it, they discovered that the market had moved on. The certified pre-owned program had been defunded, the brand had been discontinued, the dealer had stopped advertising it. That person absorbed $70,000 to $100,000 in depreciation, and now their loss is sitting on a lot or a private listing, waiting for a financially literate Canadian buyer who understands what they are actually looking at. That buyer is you. Let's go through the 6 cars. The Maserati Ghibli, the Italian you can now actually afford. A new 2019 Maserati Ghibli SQ4 carried an MSRP of approximately 102,000 Canadian dollars. Today, clean 2017 and 2018 examples with reasonable mileage are listed on autotrader.ca across Ontario and British Columbia for between $12,000 and $16,500 Canadian dollars. That is a depreciation curve of roughly 85% in 7 years. The first owner didn't just lose money, they paid for your car. The Ghibli has never sold in massive numbers in Canada. Maserati's Canadian dealer network sits at fewer than a dozen locations, concentrated in Toronto, Vancouver, Calgary, and Montreal. That thin network is actually part of the problem. When a Ghibli owner in Ottawa or Winnipeg wants to sell, there are almost no local buyers with brand familiarity. The car travels long distances or sits. According to Canadian Black Book data published in March 2026, Italian and low-volume luxury brands have seen the steepest wholesale value corrections of any category in the Canadian used market. Here's what the math looks like in practice. A 2018 Maserati Ghibli SQ4 in Ontario is currently listed at approximately 14,900 Canadian dollars. That car was originally purchased new for around 105,000 Canadian dollars. The first owner paid roughly $90,000 in depreciation over 6 years. Meanwhile, a comparably powered 2018 BMW 540i xDrive, similar twin-turbo 6-cylinder, similar AWD, similar interior quality, lists for 28,000 to 34,000 Canadian dollars on the same market. You are getting Ferrari supplier V6 power and genuine Italian craftsmanship for 15,000 Canadian dollars versus $30,000 for the German alternative. The ownership cost gap is real, but so is the entry price gap. A Toronto area private seller listed his 2017 Ghibli SQ4 on autotrader.ca in November 2024 at $19,500. By January 2025, after 0 serious inquiries, the price had dropped to $14,900. He wrote in a Canadian automotive forum, he paid $98,000 for that car in 2017, kept it in a heated garage, maintained a full dealer service history, drove 72,000 kilometers, and could not give it away. His experience is not unusual. Dealers report that Maseratis in this generation generate plenty of interest on the lot, but very few finance applications because the maintenance reputation scares buyers who cannot verify the service history. The Ghibli under 15,000 Canadian dollars is not a financial trap. It is a financial test. If you can verify a full service history and budget 2,000 to 3,000 Canadian dollars per year in maintenance, you are driving a car that costs six figures to replicate new. The trap belongs to the person who bought it new. Car number 2 is a full-size American flagship, built by a company with a genuine engineering reputation, and it has fallen just as far, for a reason that has nothing to do with quality. The Cadillac CT6, General Motors' abandoned flagship. General Motors spent an estimated $900 million developing the Cadillac CT6. They built it for 5 years and then quietly discontinued it in 2020. Right now, 2018 and 2019 CT6 Platinum models, the ones that launched at 104,000 to 115,000 Canadian dollars, are available on autotrader.ca in Ontario for 12,000 to 18,000 Canadian dollars. General Motors essentially gifted the used market a world-class luxury sedan and then walked away. The CT6 was assembled in Oshawa, Ontario, which made it quietly significant for Canadian buyers. A domestic-built flagship competing directly against the German establishment. It sold modestly in Canada, fewer than 1,200 units per year at its peak, according to CADA annual data. When GM announced the discontinuation, residual values collapsed immediately. Canadian dealers who held trade-ins were caught with inventory that lost 30% of its value in under 12 months. The cars did not disappear. They migrated to independent lots and private listings, where they have been sitting ever since. A 2019 CT6 Platinum with the 3.0-liter twin-turbo V6 and Super Cruise, GM's hands-free highway driving system, is currently available in the Greater Toronto Area for approximately 15,500 Canadian dollars. A comparably equipped 2019 BMW 7 Series 7.5 Zero-i with similar adaptive cruise and lane centering features lists for 52,000 to 60,000 Canadian dollars on the same market. The CT6 Platinum came standard with Bose Panerai audio, rear seat massage, a 10-speed automatic, and a fully active suspension system. You are acquiring a $104,000 engineering achievement for less than $16,000. The maintenance cost gap between a GM V6 and a BMW N63 twin-turbo V8 over 3 years of ownership is also substantial. Roughly 3,500 Canadian dollars per year versus 6,000 to 8,000 Canadian dollars per year for the German alternative. A Mississauga dealer principal, speaking to Canadian Auto Dealer magazine in late 2024, described the CT6 market as one of the strangest inventory situations he had seen in 30 years. His lot had acquired 3 CT6 Platinums at auction for between 11,000 and 14,000 Canadian dollars each. After 6 months, he had sold one. The buyers who can qualify for $100,000 cars don't want a discontinued model. The buyers who want a deal don't know enough about the car to trust it. He eventually wholesaled the remaining 2 at a loss to a used car chain in Hamilton. The CT6 is the best kept secret in Canadian used luxury right now. It is not discontinued because it was defective. It is discontinued because GM changed strategy. The car itself is a legitimate S-Class competitor with a GM V6 under the hood, which means parts are available at any Canadian dealership. Car number 3 on this list is a British sedan that was once a genuine BMW 5 Series rival, and it is now available in Canada for less than a used Honda Civic. The Jaguar XF, the British sedan that forgot to hold its value. A 2017 Jaguar XF AWD launched at approximately 72,000 Canadian dollars in Canada. Right now, 2016 and 2017 XF examples with clean Carfax reports are listed on autotrader.ca for 8,900 to 13,500 Canadian dollars. Below the price of a base 2015 Honda Civic on the same platform, the XF lost more than 80% of its value in under 9 years. Jaguar Land Rover Canada saw its sales volumes decline every year between 2019 and 2024, according to Good Car, Bad Cars annual Canadian sales data. The XF sedan specifically struggled because Canadian buyers shifted overwhelmingly toward SUVs, and Jaguar's Canadian marketing was increasingly redirected toward the F-Pace and E-Pace crossovers. The XF became an orphan product with minimal dealer advertising support, which crushed residual values. When a brand stops promoting a model, certified pre-owned programs lose funding, and the used values follow within 18 to 24 months. Here's the real-world comparison you need to understand. A 2017 Jaguar XF 35 TAWD 380 horsepower supercharged V6 8-speed ZF automatic adaptive suspension is available in Vancouver right now for approximately 11,500 Canadian dollars. A 2017 BMW 5.4, OIX Drive with similar specifications lists for 26,000 to 30,000 Canadian dollars on the same market. The XF runs on the same ZF 8-speed gearbox as the BMW. Parts availability for the supercharged V6 in Canada is reasonable through Jaguar dealer networks in Toronto, Calgary, and Vancouver. Insurance on a 2017 XF in Ontario runs approximately 1,800 to 2,400 Canadian dollars annually, not significantly different from any other sports sedan in that power bracket. A Vancouver buyer named Robert Thiessen documented his 2017 XFS purchase on a Canadian automotive forum in February 2025. He paid 12,200 Canadian dollars for a one-owner example with 78,000 kilometers and a full Jaguar dealer service history. His comparison: the same money would have bought him a 2013 Toyota Camry LE with 130,000 kilometers. He described driving a 380 horsepower British sports sedan to work every day for the same price as a 10-year-old family car. He reported no mechanical issues in his first 8 months of ownership. The XF under 13,000 Canadian dollars makes sense if you are buying from a Canadian seller with a verifiable service history and you understand that Jaguar parts, while available, are not cheap. The value is real. The risk is manageable with the right pre-purchase inspection. Before I get into cars 4 through 6, which is where the numbers get genuinely alarming for anyone who has been shopping the used luxury market, hit that subscribe button. Next week, I am covering which luxury brands hold their value best in Canada right now and which ones to avoid buying new in 2026. You need that video before your next purchase decision. Now, car number 4, the Lincoln Continental, the American luxury car nobody remembered to buy. Ford spent $1.2 billion reviving the Lincoln Continental nameplate in 2017. The flagship Black Label edition launched at 92,000 Canadian dollars in Canada. Ford discontinued the entire Lincoln Continental line in 2020 after just 4 model years. Clean 2018 and 2019 examples, including Black Label editions with massaging rear seats, 30-way adjustable front seats, and Revel Ultima audio, are now available across Canada for 9,500 to 14,000 Canadian dollars. The Lincoln Continental was never a strong seller in Canada. Lincoln's Canadian volume peaked at around 8,500 units annually across its entire lineup, and the Continental accounted for fewer than 800 of those. Ford of Canada made the strategic decision to de-emphasize Lincoln sedans in favor of the Navigator and Nautilus SUVs, a decision that made financial sense but destroyed the Continental's residual value curve. The Canadian Black Book flagged the Continental in its 2023 depreciation analysis as one of the steepest depreciating luxury sedans in the Canadian market, alongside the Cadillac CT6 and the Maserati Ghibli. A 2019 Lincoln Continental Reserve AWD, the second-tier trim, is listed on autotrader.ca in Ontario right now for approximately 13,900 Canadian dollars. That car originally retailed for 77,500 Canadian dollars. It came with a twin-turbocharged 2.7-liter V6 producing 335 horsepower, Revel Ultima audio, a 360-degree camera system, and a rear seat entertainment package. A comparably equipped 2019 Mercedes-Benz E4504 Matic lists for 38,000 to 44,000 Canadian dollars on the same market. You are buying 82% of the E450 experience for 32% of the price. Ford's EcoBoost 5.6 is one of the most well-documented, widely serviced engines in Canada. Parts availability is not an issue at any Ford dealership from Halifax to Victoria. A Calgary couple, Michael and Sandra Berube, purchased a 2018 Continental Black Label in March 2025 for 12,800 Canadian dollars from a Lethbridge dealer who had been sitting on the car for 220 days. Sandra noted in an AutoTrader community forum that the rear seat has 30-way adjustment and massage, and that they paid less for it than a used Honda Accord. The dealer had originally acquired the car at 16,500 Canadian dollars from a closed estate auction and had reduced the price 3 times over 7 months before finding a buyer. The Continental under 14,000 Canadian dollars is one of the cleanest depreciation plays in Canadian used luxury right now. Ford parts, a well-documented powertrain, and genuine flagship-level interior quality. The brand abandoned the car. That is not your problem. Car number 5 is a German flagship sedan that has fallen to prices that would have been unthinkable 5 years ago, and the reason it dropped this far is a single model change announcement. The BMW 7 Series G11 generation, the German flagship at Honda prices. The 2016 to 2019 BMW 7 Series was the most technologically advanced production sedan BMW had ever built at launch. The 750i xDrive launched in Canada at $121,500 Canadian dollars. Today, clean 2016 examples with under 100,000 kilometers are available in Ontario and British Columbia for $14,000 to $19,000 Canadian dollars, a depreciation of approximately 86% from original MSRP in under 9 years. The G11 7 Series depreciation story in Canada has a specific trigger: the 2023 redesign, which BMW launched as a dramatically updated vehicle, made the G11 generation feel immediately dated. Canadian BMW dealers aggressively moved certified pre-owned G11 inventory through 2022 and 2023 at discounts that set a new residual floor. Once CPO prices reset, the retail used market followed. According to Canadian Black Book's 2024 depreciation report, the BMW 7 Series experienced one of the largest retail value corrections of any single luxury nameplate in the Canadian market, down more than 14% year over year between 2023 and 2024. A 2017 BMW 750i xDrive 4.4-liter twin-turbocharged V8, 445 horsepower, Bowers & Wilkins Diamond Audio, Driving Assistant Plus, Executive Lounge rear seating, is listed in the Greater Vancouver area right now for approximately $16,500 Canadian dollars. That is $105,000 Canadian dollars of original depreciation sitting in front of you. The comparison that matters: a new 2026 BMW 540i xDrive starts at $82,900 Canadian dollars. You are buying a more powerful, more fully featured car for approximately 20% of what the new 5 Series costs. The catch is honest and significant. BMW V8 maintenance in Canada runs $6,000 to $10,000 Canadian dollars per year at a dealership. An independent specialist in Toronto, Calgary, or Vancouver will bring that to $3,500 to $5,000 Canadian dollars. Budget accordingly. A retired engineer named David Kowalski from North Vancouver purchased a 2016 BMW 750i xDrive in September 2024 for $15,200 Canadian dollars. A one-owner car with 88,000 kilometers and a full BMW dealer service history from a Burnaby private seller. He ran the numbers for 3 months before buying. His break-even on maintenance versus driving a $45,000 alternative luxury car was approximately 4 years. If the car runs for 4 years, the net spend is comparable. He reported a $1,200 Canadian dollar suspension repair in his first 6 months, and nothing else. The G11 7 Series under $17,000 Canadian dollars is the most unambiguous value on this list for a mechanically confident buyer. You are purchasing engineering that BMW spent over a decade developing at a price that was impossible 36 months ago. The maintenance cost is real, but so is the math. Car number 6 is the one that will surprise you most. It is not Italian, not discontinued, not German. It is a Korean luxury sedan that arrived with some of the strongest press reviews in a decade, and it is already under $15,000 because of one structural problem nobody warned buyers about at launch. The Genesis G80, first generation, the Korean BMW killer that nobody resold. When Hyundai launched the Genesis G80 as its own standalone luxury brand in Canada in 2017, automotive journalists gave it reviews that compared favorably to the BMW 5 Series and Mercedes E-Class. Car and Driver called it one of the best luxury sedans under $60,000. The 2017 G83.3 TAWD launched in Canada at $61,500 Canadian dollars. First-generation examples with under 100,000 kilometers are now available on autotrader.ca across Canada for $9,800 to $14,500 Canadian dollars. That is a depreciation of approximately 77% in 8 years. The structural problem with the first-generation Genesis G80 in Canada is brand recognition, specifically the absence of it. Genesis only established an independent retail presence in Canada in 2021, more than 4 years after the G80 launched. During those 4 years, Genesis vehicles were sold through Hyundai dealers, which actively undermined the brand's luxury positioning. A Canadian buyer comparing a $61,000 Genesis against a $65,000 BMW 5 Series at a Hyundai dealer's showroom was always going to walk to the BMW store 2 blocks away. That perception gap permanently damaged G80 residual values. According to IC Car's depreciation analysis, Genesis as a brand experienced average used vehicle depreciation of 6.5% annually, one of the worst in the luxury segment across 2023 to 2025. A 2018 Genesis G83.3 TAWD 365 horsepower twin-turbocharged V6 8-speed automatic, Lexicon audio, heated and ventilated front and rear seats, adaptive suspension, is available in the Greater Toronto area for approximately $12,500 Canadian dollars. A comparably specified 2018 BMW 5/4 OIX drive lists for 28,000 to 33,000 Canadian dollars on the same market. The Genesis uses Hyundai-sourced mechanicals with parts available at any of Hyundai's 280-plus Canadian service locations. Maintenance costs are substantially lower than German alternatives. Canadian owners report annual service costs of 1,800 to 2,800 Canadian dollars, comparable to a well-maintained Honda Accord, not a European sports sedan. That is the combination that makes the first-generation G80 the most financially rational buy on this entire list. An Ottawa buyer named James Fournier purchased a 2017 Genesis G 83.3 TAWD in January 2025 for 11,200 Canadian dollars from a private seller in Canada. He had previously owned a 2017 BMW 530i xDrive, which he sold for 31,000 Canadian dollars. He described to an Ottawa automotive group that his passengers genuinely cannot tell the difference between the two cars. The Genesis has more rear legroom, a comparable sound system, and it cost $11,200. The BMW cost $31,000 2 years earlier. He reported zero mechanical issues in his first year of ownership. The first-generation Genesis G80 is the most financially efficient luxury sedan available in Canada under $15,000 today. German engineering with Korean parts costs is a myth. This is Korean engineering with Korean parts costs, and the build quality has been verified by a decade of owner experience. The depreciation hit belongs to someone else. The car belongs to you? The first owner, a sacrifice, is a structural feature of the luxury market that almost nobody uses. The original buyers of these 6 vehicles absorbed between 400,000 and 600,000 Canadian dollars in depreciation. That money transferred to whoever buys at the floor, and these 6 cars are sitting at that floor right now. Which one would you actually consider buying? Drop your answer in the comments. I read every one. Next week, the 5 luxury cars Canadian dealers are desperate to move before summer, and the negotiation tactics that are working right now. You cannot miss that. Thanks for watching.